today we have a fun project for you, and with us to explain how to do this is Laura Payne. She's our Oklahoma Gardening intern this year. And Laura, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here, Brenda.
Now Laura, you've got some container gardening that we're going to do. Now it's been around for a long time, hasn't it?
Yes, clear container gardening has been around for about 2,500 years. However, container gardening as we know it has only been around since about 1842 when Dr. N.B. Ward invented the Wardian case. And the Wardian cases were invented so that they could transport plants over long distances and still keep them alive.
Okay, so this basically has its origins in when people were doing a lot of plant collecting, bringing them back to England, studying them, and things like that. So, well, we're basically making a terrarium today, right?
Right.
That's what we call it now. And what are the supplies that we need for this?
Well, first thing you need is going to be a clear container with a fairly tight-fitting lid. And the reason for that is if the lid doesn't fit tight, then it'll dry out too quickly.
Okay.
Okay, and then you need a nice well-drained soil. And we've moistened our soil here so that we won't have to water the plants as much once we get them planted in here.
Good.
We have some gravel, and the gravel though we're going to use on the top as a decorative instead of on the bottom like most people are used to having it on the bottom as a drainage layer. Because with soil, if it doesn't drain to the next level until it's completely saturated. And so if you've completely saturated your soil, you've already overwatered your terrarium.
Okay.
And so the gravel layer, all it'll do is hold in that moisture, and then the roots will rot a lot faster.
Okay, so that's different than people have traditionally thought. We
Yes.
don't need that layer of gravel on the bottom.
No.
Okay.
And then we have some charcoal to keep the soil smelling fresh. And then we've picked a few little foliage plants here that we're going to put in here. And you want to pick your plants that aren't going to grow, you know, just really fast, or you'll just be pruning them constantly.
Okay, so a slower growing house type plant is a good
Yes.
choice. Okay, so we've got all of our supplies here. How do we start the process?
Well, the first thing you want to do is for every inch width of your container, you'll put in a 1/4 inch of soil.
Okay.
And this container is approximately 12 inches, so we'll put in 3 inches of soil.
Okay. Now, are we supposed to wash out our container
yes.
ahead of time?
Most definitely you want to start with a clean container
Okay.
and completely dry it out.
So, but once we've got that done, then we start adding our soil.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to add approximately 3 inches of soil.
Okay. Now, should you slope the soil or should it be completely level?
That's going to depend on if your container is going to be viewed from one side only or from several sides. If it's going to be viewed from just one side, then you want to kind of build it up in the back. If it's
Okay.
going to be from all sides, then you can just make it level.
Good. So,
Maybe one more cup.
okay.
Okay, that looks about right.
So, yeah, that looks good.
Okay, so after we've done that, then we're going to sprinkle just a little charcoal on the top of the soil so it'll keep it smelling fresh. Okay,
And we just start planting our plants?
ready to start planting.
Now, is there any specific way that you need to do this?
If it's going to be viewed from just all over, then you can put your taller plants wherever you'd like. But if it's going to be viewed from one side, then you want your taller plants in the back. Okay, so we're just going to kind of pull these plants apart gently here.
Now, those are both in the same container, right?
Right. And if you'll just gently pull them apart, you can make more than just the one plant that was in here. So just going to kind of put that in there and gently cover it up with the soil. Now, if you need to, you can always prune, you know, some of the leaves that are a little taller than what you would like.
Okay. Now, once you've got all of your plants in the container, do you need to water it in?
Not if your soil was moist enough when you started. Then you can just kind of mist the soil, mist the plants to kind of clean off some of the soil that gets on the foliage while you're planting them.
Okay.
And you can just kind of arrange them however you would like. If you do use a little larger looking plants, then your terrarium looks a little more established than if you were to just use little, you know, little plants.
Now, do you want to fertilize these any?
Not in the beginning, because and it's really not that recommended, because the fertilizer will just make your plants grow so much faster.
Okay.
And you know, you're wanting your plants to grow slower.
Okay. Now, a lot of times people will plant their terrarium, they put the top on, and the first thing it does is it condenses up and you can't see a thing. What should you do when that happens?
Definitely don't panic. Just remove the lid, and you can let it dry out for a few days.
Okay.
And if you would like, you can take a paper towel and just gently go around the edges, and it'll soak up the little droplets of water. Because the terrarium needs some of the moisture inside, because the plants recycle that moisture. That's why you don't need to water them as much.
Okay. Now, you've got some finished products right over here, Laura, and you can use all sorts of different kinds of containers, can't you?
Yeah, and this is just an old fish tank, and I just kind of wanted to show people how you can put like some little rocks in there and sprinkle the gravel on the top, and you have more of a natural looking
So that looks good.
terrarium.
Now, you've just used, on the top, you've used saran wrap, haven't you?
And just
And that's
place
just
it
good.
up there, tape it down, cut it neatly, and I don't think it looks that bad.
No, this is good. And then this is a gorgeous container. The container is as pretty as the garden. I like this. Where did you find it?
This I found while I was looking on the internet for different ideas people may have nowadays for making terrariums. And this I found, it's on the internet at ron@artmakers.com. And if you just go to terrariums, type in terrariums, they'll come up. And he has a whole web page full of so many different stained glass terrariums that he makes by hand. He ships them out from his home, and they're just beautiful.
Well, they are. I've seen a lot of them in catalogs lately. They look like mini conservatories.
Oh,
They're
yes.
very pretty. So, well, we really appreciate you showing us how to do this, Laura, and maybe we can get finished here.
Yeah.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.